Hello, welcome to another edition of All About Anne's Art. My name is Anne Laidler. Today I'm going to be showing you how to paint rose hips using 4 colours: quinacridone red, Indian yellow, ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. So first of all I'm going to mix some of the quinacridone red. It's a very bright red, this one. Berries are going to be very bright using this. I may dull it down with a little bit of the burnt sienna in a moment, but we'll see how we go. So the berries are that sort of shape. They're elongated with a long end, like that. There we go. And there's quite a few on each stalk of the tree, so I'll do quite a few nice red berries, remembering to leave a little bit of white fleck. I haven't remembered on those two, so I'll show you a way of getting your white fleck back when the painting is dry, but I'll do it on all of the other ones, just so that you can see how to see the difference. As you'll see, I'm not doing any pencil drawing with these particular berries. I prefer to go straight in with the brush if I can. But sometimes you have to draw things, otherwise you can't get things accurate. I'm just taking some of the paint off with a dry brush just to get my glint. I'm just doing this while the paint's wet. I may have to go back in when it's dry and take off a bit more. But I just wanted to get rid of the majority of the paint before I started. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of burnt sienna in the ends of the berries. I'm going to mix a bit of blue in with that just to make it slightly darker. Make it into a bluey brown. Put it on the ends of the berries, and then it will bleed down into the red and look like the bits where the flowers and leaves have dropped off. Okay. Next I'm going to put the stalks in, and for that I'm going to use a rigger brush. For those of you that haven't used a rigger brush before, it's a brush with a very long point, and the reason for using it is, 1, it gives me very fine lines, and 2, it holds lots of paint. So when you're doing long lines, you don't have to keep replenishing the brush with paint. They were initially used by the old masters to paint the rigging lines on ships. That's why they're called riggers. So we need to do a few lines using the brush. Again, these aren't too neat and tidy. We don't want it to be too neat when we've painted it. And I'm going to put a few lines in to put some leaves on as well. So put a few bits and pieces off as we go. Just paint them off. Whenever you paint twigs or stalks, it's best not to make them too neat and tidy. in the real world, they've quite often got bends and twists in them where they've grown round things. They don't go in nice straight lines. Okay, so that's the twigs. So for the leaves, I'm going to mix. So this is Indian yellow, quite a nice warm yellow. I'm going to mix some of that with some ultramarine. Make that lovely rosy green. Then I'm going to mix a bit more over the other side of the palette. Just drag some of that colour over. Make it a bit yellowier. Make sure I've got plenty paint. So I'm going to be drawing lots of leaves. So I want lots of paint. Okay. Now the reason for using two colours is that I want to have two sides of the leaf. So the first side is going to be dark. So it's got nice spiky edges to it. It's a rose leaf. And then the other side, I'm going to do the other side with the spikes as well. And then when I join the paint in the middle, they'll bleed and mix together in the middle so that we'll get a variation in colour. And if I just leave that, it'll do it all by itself. So I'm going to put a leaf down here now. So paint it nice and jagged edges. The other beauty of using the rigger brush is that you can't be too neat with it. And if you dance around with it like this, you get bits of white paper showing, which always add an extra bit of interest to your painting. So if I just touch the two colours together in the middle, hopefully they'll bleed together. So we start off this side with a dark leaf. See, I'm just doing lots of jaggy lines. Leaving a bit of white paper. Adding a bit more pigment to my paint now. And so where the two are meeting in the middle. Especially here you can see they've started to bleed together. I'll do another leaf down here. Add a bit of the green. Make sure that the two colours touch in the middle. Have a little tiny leaf here. Nice dark green here. And there we go. Add a few more. Just another little one here next to the rose hip. Bit of the darker green the other side. Give it some spiky bits. A few spiky bits on that side. And there we go. Now, where I wanted to take the paint off for the highlight, I can do that with a dry brush. Make sure your brush is nice and clean and then almost dry. Just rub it backwards and forwards on the paper. Like that. Like that. what I'm going to do is, as I said, I'm going to add a little bit of burnt sienna into that red, just to vary it slightly. I'm going to put a bit of shading on the hips, just on one side. Just so that they're varied in colour. And perhaps a neater bit of the quinacridone red on the other side, just to vary it a bit more. There we go. And that is rose hips on a branch in the autumn.